Now, from Poland, from Central Europe, we remain to Central Europe and to the administrative capital of European Union, Belgium, even though our close friend Gert Hermans is also in Greece in Olympia International Film Festival for Children and Young People, and he will be with us virtually from Greece, a Belgian guy. Welcome, welcome, Gert.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. Um, and yes, indeed, I'm currently residing on Greek ground as a guest of the Olympia Festival. So what you see behind me is the design of a Greek hotel room. But I do feel closely connected
Interesting.
to Athens, um, closely connected to Athens, where you are hosting the event today. Um, but with a delegation of several speakers here in Pyrgos, I think the festival is also well represented. First of all, I think I should explain you why I should not be among today's speakers. Because as the organizer of the first series of Kids for Kids festivals, organized more than 15 years ago, together with my dear friend and colleague Joanne Blouin, I think Kids for Kids cannot afford to dwell in nostalgia. Technology has changed, and so have the young people and the way they make use of it. Relationship between young people and the way and the young creatives and the moving image as such is no longer what it used to be 15 years ago. So I am no longer an expert, although I still treasure my memories to those wonderful editions that we had, and for which I owe lifelong respect to Atina Rikaki, and believe me, I have. Um, so I'll be happy to see new generations of experts taking care of this project. However, there are some things I have observed and that I want to share with you briefly today. Um, I don't believe young people are striving for excellence in their use of moving images. That is why I see the competitive role of Kids for Kids as a minor detail. Why do young people create and share stories through moving images? The question was already brought up. Well, I can think of two reasons. Reason one would be to belong to a wider community. If the competitive aspect is all about to transcend yourself, then the community aspect is more about belonging to a bigger group with whom you can share passions and interests. And I think this is what young people are interested in. So I think for the new Kids for Kids editions, building a community should always be more important than winning the prize. Reason number two would be finding your voice and claim your place. Now that everybody strives for representation, young people's films should be the ultimate way to represent yourself and to make yourself heard. Don't demand representation from the society, but claim it yourself and make it happen with the tools that young people master better than anyone else, being the visual media. Um, Filmmaking as a way to reach out to other youngsters around the globe could be the driving force, therefore, behind the new Festa Fest editions. As I read, for instance, in reports by the Youth Cinema Network, like the bigger association that you're all familiar with, I suppose, in those reports, I read that COVID has helped us a lot. Projects that were tried out and failed so many times before did now succeed. Well, in every possible speech that I've made over the last 2 years, I tried to not refer to the COVID situation. Well, you can call me a coward for that, but that's how I prefer to take a look at life, not on what is happening right now, but what will happen on the longer term. But there was an effect. And in the report, I read that due to the eagerness of young people to make new online contact, which we called already community building, projects that always failed now suddenly, well, fell at place, and people were ready and capable of making the establishing the connection. Also due to the technical steps that the world was forced to take during the pandemic years. The medium defines the message, so new technical standards meanwhile have been established as the new normal. However, even when reducing the competitive aspect of such an event, I find the feedback aspect still utterly important. How was my film evaluated? How can we do better? I don't think the profile of the jury is the most important aspect. In some of your writings, I read that we would strive for 10 renowned professionals. Well, I'm not sure if feedback from Steven Spielberg is more valuable than feedback from a Belgian workshop leader or an Italian media educator, although it might be more prestigious. But the fact that young filmmakers receive feedback is a proof of being taken seriously, a proof that your work is worth being discussed. It's a sign of respect from and a part of our duty as organizers. So we should share those comments and ask our jury committee to formulate them in a respectful and constructive way, I think. But one particular thing that I've noticed recently on the international festival scene is that well, I come from a generation of big catalog festivals. The prestige of your festival was measured by the size of your catalog, the amount of films on your program. Nowadays, I see a very different tendency. Most new festivals work from a clear social commitment. They start from a civil project with film as a tool to support or to achieve that goal. It's no longer the number of films that counts, it is the impact made by these films on your audience and on your local community. I've seen it with so many new festivals that are joining ECFA, which is the association that I represent here today. Last week I was in Oslo, Norway, visiting the Ablum Festival. It's a festival that has three target groups: children living in poverty, children from a migration minority background, and children with disabilities. We've seen it with the festival in Athens, represented here today by our dear colleague Calliope Karalambous. We have seen it with the Enesimo Festival from Italy, with the Play Lisboa Festival, and so on. Their first concern is to make film available to groups that don't feel like their voices are being heard. Do they have a big catalog with many films? Not at all. They're not fighting for big premieres like the old festivals used to do, but their impact on the local society is strong and profound, I think. I'm sure also kids will find a way to fulfill that role. That's what I hope, not by including themes that only concern the teachers. And in that respect, I was really charmed, for instance, by the example that Konstantina Chatsara gave us today with the question, what makes you happy? I suppose that's a question that addresses the youngsters much more directly than how can we achieve world peace or how will we save the planet? So I think this agenda should be defined by the young people themselves. So be honest, look at us today here. It's a bunch of old people deciding what should be cool or what should be sexy or what should be good for young people to do and to watch. I don't see how we can decide on that. I'm sure Kids for Kids can only become a success if soon the young generation will steal the chairs that we are today sitting on and sit around the table to decide. And I'm not sure how Kids for Kids will succeed to do that, but I'm sure they will, one way or another. And I wish them the best of luck and success in this ambition. Thank you.